The human opened his eyes to darkness. The air was heavy, damp, and cold against his skin. He could not tell where he was, but he could feel the stone floor beneath him. His breathing echoed in the silence, as if the chamber itself was listening. Somewhere far away, water dripped slowly, each drop falling like a clock counting down. He pushed himself up. His body was tired, his muscles sore, but his mind was alert. He remembered nothing after being taken by the alien guards. One moment, he had stood against them, refusing to kneel, and the next, a blow to the head had dragged him into unconsciousness. Now he was here. A faint glow appeared ahead. The human narrowed his eyes. It was not firelight. It was cold, bluish, like the shine of alien crystals. The glow grew stronger, outlining the shape of iron bars, tall and wide. Behind them, he could make out figures watching. The sound of heavy boots grew louder. The door creaked open. 2 armored guards entered, carrying long spears that crackled with blue energy. Between them walked a figure cloaked in silver chains. Her head was bowed, her long hair falling forward to hide her face. When she raised her eyes, the human froze. She was no common prisoner. She was the alien princess. Her skin glowed faintly. In the dim light, marked with strange patterns that shimmered like stars. Her eyes were wide, but not with anger, with fear. She looked at him the way prey looks at a predator. The guards pushed her forward, forcing her to stand beside him. The chamber suddenly filled with voices. The bars at the far end opened, and a group of alien nobles stepped in, their robes flowing, their jeweled crowns gleaming. At the center, a tall figure in black armor walked with slow, deliberate steps. His voice cut through the silence. "This," he said, pointing at the human, "is the creature that dares to survive 3 times without rest. No warrior of our empire has done it, not once." And yet this man did not stop, the crowd murmured. The princess trembled. The human said nothing. He kept his eyes on the emperor, studying him, trying to understand why he was here. The emperor smiled coldly. "Tonight, you face the first chamber. You will not leave it alive." The floor shook. The walls around them shifted, grinding with ancient gears. A hidden passage opened, swallowing both the human and the princess in darkness. The guards pushed them forward and sealed the way behind. Now, there was only silence again. The human felt the princess's eyes on him. Her voice was soft, but it shook with fear. "They say no one survives the dark chamber, not even once. You cannot go through 3 times without breaking." The human glanced at her. "Then you've been listening to the wrong people." The chamber stretched ahead like a vast cave, but the air inside was alive. Shadows moved on their own. The sound of claws scraped against stone. From the blackness, a low growl rose, followed by another. And another. The princess gasped. "They've released the hunters." 2 eyes lit up in the dark, glowing red. Then 4 more appeared. Then 10. The human clenched his fists. He could feel the danger pressing closer, step by step. He knew the aliens wanted him to fall, wanted to prove that humans were weak. But he would not give them that satisfaction. The princess grabbed his arm, her voice desperate. "If we move, they will chase us. If we stand still, they will surround. US, there is no escape." The human looked straight into the dark, his jaw set. "There's always a way, but I don't stop." Not once, not ever, the creatures emerged. They were massive, their bodies twisted like wolves made of bone and shadow. Their teeth shone in the faint light, dripping with poison. The growls turned into a chorus of hunger. The princess's legs shook. She had been trained in palaces, not in blood-soaked caves. Fear wrapped around her heart like chains. But beside her, the human did not tremble. He stepped forward, closer to the beasts. The largest of them snarled and leapt. The sound of claws tearing through air filled the chamber. The princess screamed. But the human moved faster than she thought possible. He ducked low, rolled across the ground, and came up behind the beast. With one strike, he smashed a stone into its skull. The monster collapsed with a sickening crack. The others roared in fury. The human did not rest. He did not pause. He rushed into the next one, his arms swinging, his body refusing to slow. The princess covered her mouth in shock. No alien warrior had ever moved like this. No alien had ever fought without stopping. He killed one, then another, then a third. Each time, he kept moving, never giving the beasts or himself a chance to breathe. The chamber floor was painted in blood and shadow. The princess could only watch, frozen, her chest rising and falling with panic. And yet, deep inside, another feeling stirred. It was not only fear, it was something else. The last beast collapsed. Silence returned. The human stood in the middle of the carnage, his chest heaving, but his eyes burning with fire. Slowly, he turned to face the princess. Her lips trembled. She gasped, whispering words she did not even plan to say. "You didn't stop." Not once. The human gave a small, cold smile. "Get used to it." Asterisk. The chamber floor still smoked from the blood of the beasts. The human stood tall, his fists still clenched, while the princess stared at him as if he were something not of this world. But before she could even breathe, the ground beneath them shook again. The walls shifted with a grinding sound, folding into new shapes. The stone cracked, opening into another path. Heat rolled out, hot and suffocating. A glow of burning light spilled into the darkness. The princess's eyes widened. She whispered, almost choking on the words, "The trial of fire." The human said nothing. His jaw tightened as he stepped forward, feeling the heat rise against his skin. The air smelled of ash, molten metal, and something alive, something that wanted to burn them to nothing. The new chamber stretched ahead like a tunnel carved through hell itself. Rivers of fire flowed on either side, glowing bright orange, boiling and snapping with sparks. The floor was made of narrow stone bridges that broke and crumbled under the weight of each step. Above, vents in the ceiling spat columns of flame. Without warning, sudden bursts that turned the path into a deadly maze. The walls themselves shifted, opening cracks that sprayed burning gas. The princess clutched her chest, trembling. No warrior has crossed this place. Not once. It is impossible. The human glanced at her. "Then stay behind me and watch." The first roar of flame came down like the breath of a dragon, scorching the stone. The human leapt aside at the last second, pulling the princess with him. Her body shook as the heat seared close enough to burn her skin. The smell of singed hair filled the air. They moved forward, the ground trembling beneath their feet. Another blast of fire struck just behind them, chasing them down the narrow path. The human did not stop. He ran, his hand gripping the princess's arm tightly, pulling her with him. She stumbled, nearly falling into the molten river below. A scream escaped her lips, but the human yanked her back just in time. His voice was calm, steady, like iron. "Keep moving, don't look down." The flames roared again, this time from both sides. The human ducked low, dragging the princess under the burst. The heat was unbearable. Her body screamed for rest, for air, for escape. But the human didn't slow. He didn't even hesitate. Step after step. He moved as if he had been here before. He dodged the falling fire, leapt across crumbling bridges, and shoved through walls of burning gas. The princess gasped, her heart racing in terror. Sweat drenched her face. Every part of her begged to stop, to collapse, to surrender to the flames. But the human never stopped. Not once. The sound of the Emperor's voice echoed suddenly, carried by hidden speakers across the chamber. His words were cruel, filled with mocking laughter. "Burn, human. Burn until you learn your place." The human gritted his teeth but said nothing. He only moved faster. 3 times the fire burst in front of him, blocking the way. 3 times he found Another path, another leap, another chance. The princess's legs gave way, but he carried her without slowing, lifting her against his chest and running across the bridge like the flames themselves were chasing him. The chamber shook again. Ahead, the final path narrowed to a single crumbling stone archway, flames bursting across it in intervals. The princess looked up weakly, her eyes filled with despair. No one can pass that, she whispered. The human met her gaze, his voice steady. Watch me. The flames shot down once, twice, 3 times, and then he ran. He sprinted across the final bridge, the fire exploding just inches from his back. The heat seared his skin, tearing holes in his clothes, but he didn't stop. He broke through the flames with the princess in his arms, bursting out into the next chamber. Silence followed. The flames behind them died out, the chamber shifting closed. The smell of smoke lingered, clinging to their skin. The human set the princess down gently. Her chest rose and fell in sharp gasps. She stared at him as if he were more terrifying than the fire itself. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "You went through 3 times, you didn't stop, not even once." The human looked at her, his eyes calm but burning with hidden fire. "And I won't, not until this is over." Far above, the Emperor's laughter echoed again. But there was a crack in his voice, now uncertainty. "Then let us see if your mind can burn as well as your body. Prepare the trial of illusions." The princess's eyes widened again, horror filling her face. The human only clenched his fists. The air turned cold. The fire chamber sealed shut behind them, and the floor beneath their feet shifted once more. This time, it wasn't heat or beasts that greeted them. It was silence. The human stepped forward carefully, the princess close behind. The new chamber was vast, round, and empty at first glance. The ceiling stretched high, lost in shadows, while the walls shimmered like glass. Strange lights floated in the air, glowing faintly, drifting like sparks in water. The princess's voice was tight, almost a whisper. "This is worse than fire. This is the trial of illusions. Many warriors entered here, but none walked out. They lose themselves inside." The human narrowed his eyes, scanning the lights. "Illusions?" She nodded quickly. "They twist your mind. They make you see what you fear, what you love, what you hate. If you stop moving, you're lost forever." The human gave a small breath through his nose. He understood now why the Emperor had chosen this test. Beasts and fire could be beaten with strength, but illusions could break even the strongest heart. He stepped forward. The lights responded. They grew brighter, swirling faster. And then suddenly, the chamber changed. The human blinked. One moment he stood on stone, and the next, he was back on Earth. He saw his old home, the street he grew up on, the faces of people long gone. He heard laughter, voices calling his name, memories of a world he could never return to. For a moment, he stopped walking. His chest tightened. A deep ache pulled at him. "Don't stop." The princess shouted, her voice echoing strangely. "They want you to pause. If you pause, they'll take you." Her words cut through the fog. The human clenched his fists and forced himself forward. The images of Earth dissolved, burning away like smoke. Now the chamber showed something else. The princess gasped. She was staring at her own palace, her people, bowing before her, the crown shining on her head. But then, the vision twisted. She saw chains around her wrists, saw her father's cold eyes turning away, saw her people cheering not for her, but for her execution. Her knees weakened. She almost fell. The human caught her arm and pulled her up. "Keep moving." I can't," she whispered. Her eyes were wide, drowning in the illusion. "Yes, you can." His voice was sharp, steady. "They want fear. Don't give it to them." The princess forced herself to breathe. Together, they kept walking, but the arena was not done. The walls shimmered again, and a new figure stepped out of the light dot. It was the Emperor. Only it wasn't truly him. His form flickered, but his voice was cruel and heavy. "You are nothing, human. You think your strength matters? You will die here like all the others." The human stared at him, unblinking. The false emperor laughed and raised his hand. The floor cracked, opening into endless pits. From them, more beasts crawled out, the same monsters from the dark chamber. The princess clutched the human's arm, trembling. "It isn't real," she whispered, but her voice carried doubt. The human's eyes burned. He stepped forward, straight into the false emperor's shadow. The illusion swarmed, clawed, screamed, but he didn't stop. His mind repeated one truth: keep moving. He swung his fist into the false emperor's chest. The image shattered like glass, breaking into pieces of light. The entire arena shook. The whispers grew louder, angrier, but the illusions began to fade. One by one, the beasts dissolved, the pits sealed, the false memories burned away. Silence returned, only the human and the princess remained. The glowing lights dimmed, retreating back into the walls. The arena doors opened ahead, grinding slowly, as if admitting defeat. The princess collapsed to her knees, gasping for air. Her body trembled, sweat dripping down her face. She looked at the human as though he wasn't a man, but something more. "You didn't stop, not even when they broke your mind." The human reached down, pulling her to her feet. His eyes were steady, calm, unshaken. "I told you," he said. "I don't stop. Not in the dark, not in the fire, not in the mind." Far above, the Emperor's voice echoed again, colder than before. But now there was a shadow of doubt in his tone. "3 trials. And still you live. Very well, human. Let us see how you fight in the forbidden arena of blood. Release the beasts of the pit." The ground trembled. The next doors opened with a thunderous roar. From the blackness, the sound of claws and wings filled the air. The smell of blood and iron washed over them. The princess clutched his arm, eyes wide with terror. The human only stepped forward again. The roar of the beast still echoed in the human's ears, as the heavy gates of the arena slammed shut behind them. The ground was wet with blood, the air filled with the stench of death. He had fought through the pit monsters, and once again, he had not stopped. But now, the chamber was different. It was quiet. Too quiet. The walls shifted once more, and they found themselves in a narrow hall lit by pale blue torches. The flames didn't flicker like normal fire. They burned still, frozen, as if trapped in time. The air was heavy, pressing. Down on their chests. The human walked first, every step echoing in the silence. The princess followed close, her breathing uneven. She had seen him fight beasts, run through fire, and break illusions, but this silence, this darkness, was doing something else to her. It made her thoughts louder than the world around her. Finally she spoke, her voice trembling. "Why do you keep moving? Why don't you stop, even when death is right in front of you?" The human didn't look at her. His eyes stayed forward. "Because if I stop, it's over. Stopping is the same as dying." The princess lowered her eyes. Her chains rattled softly as she walked. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, suddenly, she whispered words that seemed to pain her more than the fire and illusions ever could. "I was not meant to be a prisoner." The human glanced at her, his brow furrowing. "My father, the Emperor," she continued, her voice breaking. "He gave the order to chain me, to lock me away." The human stopped walking for the first time since the trials began. The torches around them flared as if feeding on his silence. "Why?" he asked flatly. Her lips trembled. She looked away, her eyes wet but refusing to cry. "Because I saw what no one was supposed to see. A secret of the Empire. A truth they want buried." The human studied her face. What truth? Before she could answer, the walls themselves groaned. A hidden door opened to their left, spilling. A cold wind across the hall. The torches flickered for the first time. The princess's head snapped toward the sound, her eyes widening. "They're listening," she whispered. "We cannot speak it here." The human's jaw tightened. He didn't like half-truths, but he could tell from her trembling that this was not a lie. He started walking again, and she hurried beside him. After a while, she spoke once more, softer this time, like a confession. "When I was younger, I believed my father loved me. I believed my people honored me. But one night, I found records. Hidden in the palace, records of the human wars. Records that said humans were not weak slaves, but conquerors once feared across the stars." The human's eyes narrowed. Her voice shook. "And in those records, I saw something worse. Experiments. My father ordered them. He used human blood, human bones, to build his armies, his weapons. The beasts you fought, they are not pure creatures. They are made from your kind." The human's fists clenched. A storm burned behind his eyes, but his steps remained steady. "So that's why they fear me. Because I am not broken like the others." The princess lowered her head. "I should not have told you this. If the Emperor learns, he will kill me faster than any trial." She finally looked up at him, her gaze soft, filled with something she didn't want to admit. "You are dangerous to him. But you are dangerous to me as well. Because when I look at you, I see the strength he tried to erase. And her voice cracked. "I fear I will betray my blood if I keep standing beside you." The human stopped. Again, turning to face her fully. His eyes locked on hers, steady and unshaken. "You already chose when you warned me back in the chamber. You're no longer on his side." She gasped, stepping back, her chains rattling. "No, But before she could finish, the torches blew out, plunging them into darkness. Ground beneath them split. The walls shifted, opening into a new chamber. The Emperor's voice thundered through the dark, cruel, and sharp. "So, my traitor daughter speaks secrets in the dark. Very well. Then you shall face the next trial together. Let her see what your human strength is worth when blood spills in the Hall of Blades." The sound of metal rang out thousands of swords. Spears and knives dropping from the ceiling into racks that lined the walls. The human stood tall in the dark, his eyes unflinching. The princess, her face pale, whispered with a trembling voice, "The Hall of Blades. No one survives." The sound came first metal scraping against metal. It echoed through the vast chamber like the scream of tortured steel. The floor glowed red, each line of stone splitting open to reveal hidden pits. From those pits, machines rose, tall and terrible. Their bodies were forged from black alien steel, their arms ending in blades that gleamed with venomous shine. The princess's heart slammed in her chest. Her voice was a sharp whisper. "The Hall of Blades. No living warrior has ever left it alive." The human did not flinch. His eyes scanned the chamber, noting every movement, every enemy. There were dozens machines built only for slaughter, their heads turning with a hiss, their glowing eyes locking onto him. The Emperor's voice rang out, dripping with cold amusement. "Let the human prove his strength once more. If he falls, my daughter's life ends with him." The princess gasped. Her chains rattled as she stepped closer to the human, her hand brushing his arm as if to anchor herself. But he didn't look at her. His gaze was fixed forward. The machine stepped forward in perfect rhythm. Their blades clashed against each other as they moved, creating a wall of sound like a storm of steel. Sparks showered the floor with every strike of their weapons against the stone. The human's chest rose and fell in calm, steady rhythm. He whispered under his breath, almost too low for her to hear, "Don't stop, not now, not ever." The first machine lunged. Its blade swung down with crushing force, enough to split a stone pillar in half. But the human moved with speed born of desperation and will. He sidestepped, grabbed the arm, and slammed the steel body into the ground. Sparks exploded as metal met stone. The princess gasped, covering her mouth, but the human did not pause. Another machine attacked. This time, he ripped a blade free from its arm and spun it around, using alien steel against alien steel. Clang, clash, sparks. The sound of battle filled the hall. 3 machines, 4, 5. He moved through them without stopping, his arms swinging, his body refusing to slow. The princess's wide eyes followed his every step, every strike. She had seen alien generals fight their wars, but never like this. The human fought not for glory, not for empire, but with a raw, endless will. But the machines kept coming. For every one he destroyed, 2 more rose from the pits. Their red eyes glowed brighter, their blades dripping with poison. One cut across his arm, leaving a burning line of pain. The princess cried out, but he didn't stop. He tore the machine's head clean off and pressed forward. The chamber shook under the weight of endless battle. Blood mixed with sparks on the stone floor. The princess clung to the wall, her body trembling, yet her eyes never left him. She had feared him before. She had doubted him. But now, something new burned inside her chest, something she couldn't name. The human cut down. Another machine, his blade shattering in the process. He stood weaponless for a heartbeat as 3 more lunged. The princess's voice broke through the chaos. Above you. He reacted instantly, leaping back as a blade sliced down from overhead. He caught the falling weapon in midair and spun, cutting through the machine's core. He didn't even glance at her, but the truth was clear. Without her warning, he would have fallen. For the first time they were fighting together, minutes dragged into eternity. The hall became a graveyard of shattered machines, broken steel littering the floor. The human's body dripped with sweat and blood, his breath ragged, but his eyes still burned with that same fire. The last machine stepped forward, bigger, taller, stronger. Its arms carried not blades, but whirling saws that spun with deadly speed. The floor trembled as it advanced. The princess clutched her chest, terror freezing her breath. No one can defeat that. The human wiped blood from his brow. His voice was calm. Then watch. The monster lunged. The human didn't retreat. He ran straight at it. Sparks exploded as steel clashed. The sound of saws screamed, drowning the chamber. For a moment, it seemed impossible, unbearable, until the human roared, lifting the entire machine off balance and slamming it into the ground. The saws sputtered. The red glow in its eyes faded. Silence fell. The hall of blades was still. The human stood over the fallen machine, chest heaving, body bleeding. He looked toward the princess. Her lips parted, and she whispered in awe, "You didn't stop. Not once, not even when death stood above you." His eyes met hers, steady, unbroken. "And I won't." Above them, the Emperor's voice returned. But this time, it carried a sharp edge, a hint of unease. "You defy every trial, human. Very well. Then face what no one dares, the maze of shadows. Survive that, if you can." The chamber doors ground open, revealing a black tunnel that seemed endless, swallowing all light. A cold wind swept through, carrying whispers that weren't human. The princess's hand trembled as she clung to his arm. "The maze, it devours even the strongest. If you enter, you may never return." The human stepped forward without hesitation. Asterisk. Tunnel swallowed them whole. The moment the heavy doors closed behind, all light vanished. The air turned thick, damp, and cold, as though they had stepped into the lungs of some giant creature. Every breath echoed back, too loud, too close, as if the walls themselves were breathing with them. The human walked first, his step steady, though the darkness was total. The princess clung to his arm, her chains rattling softly with each movement. She whispered, her voice shaking. "This is the maze of shadows. No map, no exit. Those who enter are never seen again." The human didn't answer. His eyes scanned the blackness, though there was nothing to see. He stretched his hand against the wall. The stone was wet, pulsing faintly, almost alive. Then came the whispers. At first, they were faint like a soft wind carrying broken words. But soon, they grew louder, clearer. The princess froze. Her own voice echoed from the dark. "Traitor! Traitor daughter! Cursed blood!" Her eyes widened. "That's my father's words. How?" The whispers turned to laughter. The sound scraped against her mind like knives. The human pulled her forward. "Ignore it." But then, the shadows shifted. Ahead, the darkness shaped itself into figures. They looked like human soldiers, friends, family. People from the humans. Forgotten past. Their eyes glowed white as they whispered his name. "Stop, rest, you've walked too long. You can't fight forever." The human's steps slowed for the first time. His breath grew heavy. The faces of those he had lost reached for him with pale hands. The princess grabbed his arm tight. "Don't listen, they're not real." Her voice cracked through the fog, pulling him back. The human clenched his fists, forcing himself forward again. The shadows screamed in anger, the figures melting back into the walls. The path twisted endlessly, always splitting into 2 or 3 new ways. The walls shifted behind them, sealing old paths, opening new ones. It was a living maze, built to confuse, to trap, to devour. Hours or maybe only minutes passed. Time lost meaning. The whispers returned, this time aimed at the princess. "You are nothing. Your father cast you aside. Even the human will leave you. You are weak, useless." Tears welled in her eyes. She stopped walking, her legs trembling. "Maybe they're right. Maybe I am nothing," the human spun, gripping her shoulders firmly. His voice was low, iron sharp. "Don't you dare believe them. You warned me in the fire. You saved me in the Hall of Blades. You're still standing here. That's not nothing." Her breath caught. For a moment, the whispers faded, but the maze was not done. The ground shook. From the walls, shapes tore themselves free, creatures made entirely of shadow, taller than men, their limbs long and sharp like blades. Their eyes glowed red, their mouths stretching into wide, endless grins. The princess screamed. "The maze! Keepers!" They rushed forward, crawling, slithering, sprinting on twisted limbs. The human pushed the princess behind him. His fists clenched, his breath steady. He had no weapon, only his will. The first shadow lunged, claws slashing, but the human caught its arm and twisted, tearing it apart into smoke. But when one vanished, 2 more rose. He fought, again and again. 3 times. 4. His arms burned, his chest heaved, but still he didn't stop. The princess watched in terror, her nails digging into her palms, until something inside her snapped. She screamed, not in fear, but in defiance. She picked up a shard of broken stone from the ground and hurled it at a keeper's glowing eyes. The creature screeched, stumbling, giving the human an opening to crush it. He glanced at her. For the first time, she didn't look like a chained prisoner. She looked like a warrior learning to fight. The battle raged until the keepers melted back into the walls, hissing in defeat. The maze shuddered as if alive, angry at losing. The human wiped blood from his arm, his chest rising and falling like thunder. The princess panted beside him, her hands trembling but her eyes burning with something new resolve. The path ahead opened, glowing faintly with pale light. For the first time, there was a direction. The Emperor's voice thundered through the maze, colder than ever. "You survived my beasts, my fire, my illusions, my blades, my shadows. But this ends now. The final trial awaits the throne chamber itself. Face me, human, if you dare." The ground rumbled, pulling them forward. The maze's walls split open, revealing a stairway carved from black stone, leading upward into blinding light. Princess looked at him, her breath still ragged, her face pale, but her voice steady. "If you go up there, there is no trial. There is only death." The human looked at the stairs, his jaw set. "Then that's where I'll keep moving." The stairway ended in blinding light. The human stepped into the throne chamber, his body bruised, cut, but unbroken. The princess walked beside him, chains dragging, her face pale but her eyes no longer afraid. The chamber was massive. Pillars of black crystal rose like claws toward the ceiling. Rows of alien soldiers knelt on either side, armored, silent, their blades resting on the floor. And at the far end, on a raised throne carved from obsidian, sat the Emperor. He rose slowly, his heavy black armor gleaming with cruel light. His voice carried across the hall, sharp as a blade. "You should not be standing, human. No one survives. The trials. Yet here you are, walking beside my traitor daughter. Tell me, what keeps you moving when all should have broken you?" The human's gaze was steady, his voice was calm. "Because I don't stop." The Emperor's lips curled into a thin smile. "Then let us see if you can move when your blood spills." He lifted his hand. The soldiers around the chamber raised their weapons in unison. The sound of steel echoed like thunder. The princess gasped, stepping forward. "Father, please stop this madness." "He is not your enemy. The Emperor's eyes burned. "Silence, traitor. You stand beside him, and so you will fall with him." The human's jaw tightened. He stepped in front of the princess, shielding her with his body. For a moment, silence hung heavy in the chamber. The soldiers waited for their Emperor's command. Then the Emperor spoke again, his voice softer, darker. "You don't understand what you are, human. Do you think your strength is natural? Do you think your will belongs to you? No, you are the result of my hand. My empire twisted your kind into beasts, into soldiers, into weapons. The blood in your veins is mine." The princess froze. Her lips parted, a gasp escaping. "No, that's the secret. That's why they feared him." The human's fists clenched. He stared at the Emperor, his voice cutting through the silence like fire. "You may have broken others, but not me. I am not your weapon. I am not your slave. I am human." The Emperor laughed. The sound was deep, cruel, filling the chamber. "Then prove it. Face me, alone." He stepped down from his throne, drawing a massive blade forged from pure black steel. Its edge glowed with a faint red light, dripping with energy that burned. The air around it, the soldiers pounded their weapons against the floor, chanting in a deep, rhythmic tone. The chamber shook with their voices. The princess gripped the human's arm, her voice trembling. "No one has ever beaten him. His armor is unbreakable. His blade cuts through everything. Please, don't." The human looked at her, his eyes calm, steady. "I told you, I don't stop." And then he moved. The clash of steel roared through the chamber. The Emperor's blade came down like lightning, splitting the floor in a shower of sparks. The human dodged, striking with the broken blade he had carried from the Hall of Blades. Metal screamed against metal. The fight was not like the trials. It was faster, harder. Every strike from the Emperor could kill. Every step mattered. The human bled, his body screaming with pain, but still he didn't stop. He moved forward, blow after blow, forcing the Emperor back an inch at a time. The princess watched with wide eyes, her heart pounding. Every strike of steel shook her soul. She wanted to scream, to rush forward, but she knew this was his fight. Finally, with a roar, the human struck the Emperor's blade aside. His fist smashed into the black armor, cracking it for the first time in history. The chamber fell silent. The soldiers froze. The princess gasped. The Emperor staggered, his eyes burning with fury. "You!" He growled, blood dripping from his mouth. "You are not supposed to exist. You are not supposed to win. The human stepped forward, his voice steady. Get used to it. The chamber shook violently. The Emperor's armor flared, energy bursting from every crack. The walls trembled, the pillars cracked. The soldiers roared in confusion. The princess screamed. He's going to destroy the whole chamber. He'll bring it all down on us. The human turned to her, his body glowing faintly from the energy burning around the Emperor. His voice was calm, even in the chaos. Then stay close. If I keep moving, you'll live. The Emperor raised his blade one last time, the glow consuming him. The throne chamber crumbling. And then everything went white. Cliffhanger ending. When the light fades, the chamber is in ruins, smoke rises, the floor cracked open. The Emperor's throne is shattered. The princess coughs, crawling from the dust. But the human nowhere to be seen. She gasps, her voice trembling as she whispers into the silence. Human, where are you?